Good morning and congratulations. Thank you for joining us for the 2025 PR and Evaluation Workshop. So glad you're all here. As a reminder, if you have questions at any time, you're more than welcome to use the chat. You can use the raise hand feature, or you can unmute yourself and just say, Thayer, I have a question. And we will work our way through this. For those that have been through this process, as you know, you will, I move pretty quickly. So please, if anyone has questions, feel free to stop me. Otherwise, you will get the recording at the end and the PowerPoint slides, and we're available at any point in time to answer questions throughout your grant, throughout the history of your grant. So here we go. So housekeeping, and I'm really going to stress this, please, housekeeping, housekeeping. Our legal and formal name is the Community Foundation of Middlesex County. We appreciate it if you always refer to us as the Community Foundation of Middlesex County in the first instance of when you're speaking about us. After that, you can refer to the Community Foundation, or you can refer to our acronym CFMC, particularly if you're writing releases or news stories. But please, Community Foundation of Middlesex County. We're not the Middlesex Community Foundation. We are not the Middlesex Foundation. And if you use just the foundation without actually referencing our whole name, a lot of organizations use that, and so it gets a little confusing. So we do ask that you refer to us at least the first time in any announcements by the full name, and then after that, you can shorten it to one of the two here. When you're talking about your grant, for the most part, you'll just say grant funding provided or funded in part by the Community Foundation of Middlesex County. Your original grant agreement letter did let you know if there were specific funds that made your grant possible. You are always welcome to reference all those funds, particularly if you're doing a longer announcement, say a press release or a story. Sometimes that's when you can acknowledge all of the different funds that make your grant possible. But we know for some of you that could be 3, 4, 5 funds. So you don't have to do that all the time, but it's always nice to do it. And our donors and fund holders, fund advisors always appreciate seeing that. If you are in a specific, some of you received grants, say for through the new Deep River Cares Fund, and we always appreciate it if you can include the name of that fund along with the Community Foundation in your announcements, particularly a longer announcement, because they do. It is good to get word out that we have certain funds that are serving certain towns, or in the case of our Animals and Respect and Friendship Fund, or our Sarah A. Rosenbaum Fund for Women and Girls. Those are just some examples. Where to find everything. If you haven't gone out to look for it yet, visit our website. If you hover over nonprofits and then hover over resources, you will see a page specifically for marketing your grant. You will find the communications kit there. It's got some tips and tricks and how-tos and what we expect and how to phrase things. Hopefully it'll answer any main questions that you may have that are broad in general about marketing and acknowledging your grant. We also have our logos there, particularly the Community Foundation logo. That's the one that you would use in most cases. If you have difficulty downloading a logo from our website, or you need a special logo, please reach out to us. We're happy to provide that. Now, this is obviously on how to acknowledge or announce or market your grant funding, which helps you and it helps us. And it's a great way to inform the community of where your support is coming from. And then, of course, at the end, we're going to talk about the pieces of the evaluation and why evaluation is so important. But throughout, you might have something really cool that's happening, or some new experience, or something you hadn't anticipated, or a special quote, story, or excerpt that you want to let us know about. You can get to those to us in 2 ways. One way, obviously, is just send us an email. We're happy to have updates throughout the year. We love updates, and we will continue to use those to to communicate with our supporters and our followers all the great work that you're doing. There's also a place on Marketing Your Grant where you can actually do a quick form upload, story fill out type thing or snippet, and it's called Share Your Experience. And it's share with us. It pops up a form, very much like the other forms on our website. You can quickly enter any information and submit that, and that will come into us as well. When and how to use the logo. For those that are new, to us, I really want to stress. So the main logo that you see with our circle, our full name, and our tagline, that is what we refer to as the primary logo. We would like that to be used whenever possible because it's the whole logo and the whole statement of the Community Foundation's brand. However, we know that there are times when that may not be possible, particularly if you're using it, say, on a sheet of logos of lots of funders. If it gets too small and you can't read the tagline, you can use the logo on the lower right, which is just our logo and our name, our circle acronym and our name. That is an option when the full logo makes the bottom line illegible. That's really important. We always want that to be people to read what that says. The only time you can use the circle by itself, the acronym by itself, is if you are mentioning the full name of the Community Foundation with the acronym in parentheses somewhere relatively close to the circle acronym logo. Because otherwise, if you just use the circle acronym and there's nowhere else on the page or the announcement or whatever that gives our full name, a lot of people know what CFMC in that circle stands for, but a lot of people don't. So we do ask your help in making sure that whenever you can only use the CFMC circle acronym, you are mentioning our full name in close proximity to that. If you're not sure, reach out. We're happy to answer questions and help with any guidance on that. Certain grants do have special logos, and there are times to use them. There are times when we much prefer, when it's much easier just to use our logo, but there are times sometimes when you can use a very specific logo. If you're not sure, you have an opportunity, or say, for example, your grant is solely funded through the Fund for Women and Girls, or say solely funded by the Jandron Fund or the Deep River Cares Fund. We do have logo options that you can use to announce that funding if you want to use a logo. In order to access those or to have those for your use, please reach out to us. We will evaluate the circumstance, and if it's appropriate, we'll send you those special logos. For those of you in the past who have the GSB CFMC logo or currently have a grant that may solely be funded through our partnership with as the Community Foundation and GSB, formerly Guilford Savings Bank, please know they have now changed their name. They are now Ascend Bank. So if you have used the GSB CFMC joint logo in the past, we ask that you update that to the new Ascend Bank CFMC joint logo. I have that logo. If you need it, please reach out to me and we will get that to you. It's also available on our grant webpage because we also have a special grant partnership with Ascend for some other grants where that logo is used specifically. And if you need any guidance on that, I'm happy to help with that. Please reach out. Ways that you help us thank our donors, because remember, our donors make contributions to funds. Our funds make it possible for us to make more and more grants each year. So we like to let them know what you're doing, and we like to share your thank yous with them. So this is still one of my favorites. This was a wonderful big thank you card from the students at Bealfield Elementary School in Middletown for a sensory garden and pollinator pathway that we helped to fund. It was adorable. We've gotten wonderful thank you cards. I actually have a couple of new ones from this year. I'm going to update the PowerPoint for next year with some new examples. We showcase these in our offices all the time. We take photos of them. We share them out. We love them. So this is just one example, particularly if you're working with youth. It's a lot of fun and our donors always appreciate it. But we love stories. We love articles. We definitely want your photos whenever possible. Thank you cards and letters, we share those out. You can mail the letters or you can always email them to me. And we scan them, share those out, or if they come in electronically, we share those out with donors. We've got more and more videos, little shorts recently. We look for them on Facebook. Sometimes they get emailed to us because you're using them in your marketing materials. Those are so much fun. They're a great way to pass on your messages. Sometimes they can be a sneak peek. Sometimes it's a program clip, and sometimes it's a simple thank you. I have to tell you, we have many donors that may only be here for part of the year or have moved out of the area but continue to support our work. And these mean so much to them. They love those messages, as do we, and we love sharing them on our videos page. Of course, site visits, in person and virtual, they take a little more coordination, so we can't always do them, but we're always happy if we have the opportunity to consider it. If you have a possible date for a visit, it just takes a little lead time because we have a lot of volunteers to reach out to and try to coordinate that. And then, of course, your evaluation narrative. It's another form of story, and it's a great way to explain how the grant funding helped you make an impact. So here are the many ways that we use all of your stories, photos, announcements, quotes, clips, info pages. We get all sorts of things and we love using them. And I hope you all receive our e-news and you've seen recent updates and shout outs and video links that we've been doing as we get updates from grantees. So obviously we send email updates to our board, our committees, our donors, our fund advisors throughout the year. And we will often include updates for those appropriate groups. Social media, we post announcements and updates about your grants on our social media feed. As you know, we also watch your feeds, and if there's a shout out or an update there, we share that back out to our followers. We want to help get some attention for what the great work that you're doing and share what it takes to do your projects and do your programs and offer your services, because it takes all of us as a community. We may write letters to our donors and our fund representatives throughout the year, and we include updates that way. And then our board meets 6 times a year, and we'll often do grantee highlights at those to help our board see the impact of the grants that they're approving. And then that helps them, when they're our wonderful ambassadors in the community, to talk about the connections that we make through our grant funding. Many of you know we're working on our annual report to the community, and we definitely need photos for that. So please, please send your photos for that. And any stories or snippets. We're doing the grants from last year. So if you're a previous grantee and you haven't finished your evaluation or you haven't submitted a snippet or a photo that we might be able to use, please, I'm beginning to go through our photo bank for that annual report. And then we're always looking forward to the next report to the community as we build the pieces for next year. We update our website periodically with new photos, so those are also helpful there. And then, of course, our videos page. So I want to pause because some of you help at-risk populations, and we know that's often difficult for photos, right? Because we want to help protect individuals who maybe are at risk either from domestic violence or maybe don't want to be seen in photos. And we know that happens. And we encourage you to sort of think outside the box. So here are a couple of examples. Shoreline Soup Kitchens will often ask their volunteers to be in photos rather than the population they're serving, because it is a great way also to highlight their wonderful volunteers. And sometimes, as you see in the background photo there, it's a photo of what they're preparing to do. So that was at one of their sites. They were getting ready to open the pantries with lots of fresh produce. On the left is a wonderful idea that Read to Grow had for a grant grant that supported the bookmobile. We're very cautious with youth, and we know I'll get to privacy as well as photo release forms. But they came up with a great idea with having the children hold their books up with their back to the camera or hold the books up in front of their faces. So it was a wonderful way to show each of them with their books without putting any child at risk. If you have a video idea, we love videos. And videos, we do shorts. We share shorts. They don't have to be long. I just downloaded another one that had been sent that had been prepared for us by Portland Park and Rec. So that'll come out in our next e-news, and it'll go on our website. You can use them to say thank you. You don't have to make them particularly just for us. Maybe you're doing one as a general thank you or sneak peek for your community. Make sure that we're tagged, or you send me the link to that, because we can use that as well. It's a great way to highlight what you're doing. And then when we do get those, if they're out on social media, we do try to share them. And if we're able to get them, or they're made specifically for us, we can download them from social media. We can also use your URL link for your video platform. Don't have a video platform? We do. We do have a YouTube channel, and we're happy to load that and then actually send you back that link if you need it. How to get those to us. So videos are very large files, right? We all know that. Even the shortest 30-second video is a pretty big file. So please don't try to attach it to an email, because our filter system is probably not going to let it through. If you use a cloud sharing platform, like say for Dropbox or Hightail, you can actually send that link to us and we can download it from there. Just make sure that you have given sharing access and downloading access. We can upload it to our YouTube channel. We'll use it on our website. If you need a link, we're happy to share that back out. And we use it in our news stories. If you already use like a YouTube platform or Vimeo or one of those, you can actually, and have a share link, you can actually just send us the link and we can utilize that when we go to share that back out. Our videos page is under the news and events section, and then you go to videos. Here, we have a couple of examples. We post them up there. We also have a YouTube channel, and you're more than welcome to follow that as well. So let's talk about copyright and privacy for just a moment. A few things to keep in mind when you're sharing photos, stories, and videos with us. If you have photos that show clients, show program participants, all we need to know is, do you have a signed release on file stating that they know that you are taking their photo and you are going to use it publicly in public facing media? And you should probably do this for yourself as well, because it's a good way to make sure that people know if they're being photographed, or if they're in group photos or program photos, they know that you could potentially use it in your public facing media to highlight what you're doing. If you don't have, we have a very simple standard form if you need it. Sometimes if you're at a big event, all you need to do is post signs that state photos will be taken and could be used publicly. And if anyone wishes not to be shown in a public facing photo, that they should notify you. Stock photos. Now, this is where we have to be really careful. Stock photos. If you use a stock photo site for anything that you are doing either for yourself or you're sharing with us, please make sure it's purchased licensed photos, right? You're not just going out to Google. You're not just Googling photos of food pantries and you're taking someone else's photo that has been copyrighted or licensed and could get everybody in trouble, right? So all we ask is, if you're using stock photos, just please affirm in an email to us when you send us whatever photo it is that you are licensed and to use that photo. When you're sharing stories, articles, or quotes, sometimes people don't want their full names used publicly. We're totally fine with that. Sometimes it could just be Sharon, or it could be Andrew, or you could, or anything like that. And hang on one sec, Marcella, I see your hand. And then the same thing for videos. When you're using music, please make sure that you have used licensed music. There are a lot of free sites out there for nonprofits to get pretty good music. YouTube also offers a music library, Vimeo, and they have all the licenses for that. I stress this because we were sent a video once, which was absolutely adorable, but it was copyrighted music and the video did not have licensing to use it, and we were not able to use it because every time when we tried to upload it to our YouTube channel, the platform determined that there was no licensing for the music and therefore they couldn't post it. So we do ask that if you're using music, just make sure that you have the license to use that because it is under copyright law. Okay, I'm going to pause for a minute because I have a couple of questions in here. Um, okay, Marcella, I know you had your hand up, so
Thank you. But for some reason the chat's disabled for me, or I would have
okay,
popped it
that's all
in
right.
there. I kind of probably know the answer to this. It's just a slide back, in
Okay.
terms of sharing videos. Do you use WhatsApp? I know that's a sort of a silly question, but it does take
Yep.
big videos very easily,
It's
and I'm
a
curious.
no, that is a great question. Sorry to interrupt you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for asking.
Thank you.
At this time, no, the Community Foundation is not using WhatsApp. Um, we constantly evaluate various social media platforms to determine which ones we can monitor, manage, and utilize. It is one that I am looking at from the perspective, particularly about to get certain applications or videos, but it's not one that we've instituted yet. But if that changes, I'll let everybody know.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, hang on a second, Christine. Heather, you asked, what if we do a larger format, like an hour-long TV segment? Um, and CFM, oh, okay. Yes, yes, I do. And so what she's asking is, say they were on a TV program and it was an hour-long interview, and there's a small portion of it where they mentioned CFMC. If you send me the whole clip, we can actually extract a portion of it as long as we know that we can do that without having to use the whole piece. Because I would never want to get in trouble with like a platform, like a news show or something that didn't want you to use a clip of it. But a lot of times they don't mind because we would include a link to the whole episode. So we can evaluate that. So just send me the link and then we'll evaluate what we can. Sometimes we don't necessarily extract the clip. Like if you saw, I think it was in the July e-news, we were so thrilled to hear Traveling Toys, which is a nonprofit that we had supported, was on the Kelly Clarkson show. Like, how cool is that, right? So we were happy to actually just share that out. So if you're being interviewed in a program and it's talking about a program that we've supported and it's in our footprint, we're happy to share that out as well. Okay, Christine, I see you have a question?
Thank you, Thayer, and good morning, everybody. This is so helpful. I believe this question applies to others besides me, but I know that our work is inherently nonpartisan, and yours certainly is. Do photos with people like the governor do you still want those? I took several photos of the young people I'm working with the governor, for example, or do you shy away from anything with politicians in it? Thank you.
That's a very good question, particularly as we know that it can be rather difficult right now to figure out. But no, if that for us, part of your mission and part of the grant is to engage young people and help them find ways to learn to meet with their local legislators and the state legislators and understand what that relationship is. So you can definitely send that to us because that we could easily position that as, congratulations and kudos, our next generation were able to meet in person with the governor. And I think that's a really great thing to show. So we can evaluate that on a case by case basis when you send them in and just determine where we do try to make sure that we're across the board and nonpartisan. And thank you for the question, but we would at least, we were happy to evaluate those and look at those as they come. So,
Great, thanks.
mhm. Jennifer?
Would you be able to put in the chat a link to your photo release that you said you have?
I will tell you, I don't have it loaded somewhere where you could download it, but what we will do is we'll send it, I'll include it when we send out the link to the video and the slides so that if anybody needs it, everyone gets it. So I'm making myself a note, so we will make sure everybody has that.
Thank you.
And if I forget, someone is more than welcome to remind me, Just made myself quick now. Okay. Any other questions at the moment? No? Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to switch over to the evaluation, but I'm going to back up for just a sec, right? And reiterate that you are welcome to send photos, stories, updates. If you're featured in a news article, if you have a press release that goes out, you're welcome to send those at any time. And I didn't mention this with press releases, so let me think about doing that right now. A lot of time, and we always appreciate the opportunity. If you're not sure if it's phrased correctly, if you're doing a press release, or if you're looking for a quote or something, you're more than welcome to send those drafts to us. And we will just look at how it's phrased if you have a question about that. Those can be a pretty quick turnaround. If you would like a quote, you know us. I'm always happy to take your press release to Cynthia and have her draft a quote. What I do ask on quote requests is that you give us a good 2 to 3 day minimum lead time on that, only because sometimes we have back-to-back committee, and volunteer meetings and donor meetings, or someone's on vacation, or we may be preparing for an event and we may not be able to flip something, excuse me, around same day. So if you can give at least a couple of day lead time if you're looking for a quote, and please send me the full article or story or release so that we can see the context, because we do try to draft quotes whenever possible within the context of what you've already written, because it makes it a lot easier for everyone. You're not required to have a quote. It's just we've often gotten questions for them in the past, and we're always happy to provide those. It takes a little more lead time than a quick look at how a statement about a grant is phrased in a press release. So that can come in anytime throughout the year. We're always happy to receive those. We're always happy to watch for those. Oh, and really quickly on social media, our various links are at the back of this. We'll go over those in a sec. Please, if you can, remember to tag us if you're mentioning it. It just makes looking for your mentions a lot faster in social media, because that we'll get a pop-up notification that you've tagged us. So if we don't have anything, Emily, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I was just curious back to the press releases and getting a quote, because I love that idea of getting a quote from the foundation. We didn't do this last year, but this year I want to ask if it's we want to make sure that we're highlighting the special fund that it came from for the Women and Girls Fund. We can mention that in the press release, right?
Yes, and yes, just as it was listed in your grant agreement letter, and that's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Anything else before we move on to evaluation? I mean, you can ask questions on any time, but I'm going to switch gears here. Okay. Just wanted to check and make sure. Okay. Evaluation. So many of you, most of you, probably all of you have received grants from various funders, foundations, corporate partners, etc. And often many like updates and evaluations of some kind or another. Why? For us, because we are supported by donors throughout Middlesex County who give to a wide variety of funds that are involved in our competitive application process, we have a responsibility to circle back with all of them and provide updates and stories about actually what they're helping to do, because they believe in the community foundation. They believe in our ability to leverage funding, to pool funds, to make grants, and to monitor and understand what's going on thanks to your applications and your updates of what's going on in the community. And so we have a responsibility to report how the funds were used to those individuals that are supporting us. And therefore, we ask that you take the responsibility to report to us about how the funding helped your organization, either with a specific service or a program, or for those that have more general operating support, in how it helps your organization overall. But our donors are very interested in all of the nonprofits that we support. Even if they've never heard of you, it's a great way to introduce your organization to them. And they're really interested in what you're seeing in the community and what you're doing to help impact the quality of life for the better for all. They're also interested in how grant making helps them help their community. And we've often heard from many of them that they appreciate the fact that they can make a grant to our unrestricted fund, which is one of our largest funds in the pool that help to make your grants possible, because it gives them an opportunity to support a wide variety of things with many other donors and leverage their dollars into a larger contribution than maybe they could ever do on their own. It also helps our committees and our board understand what's going on in the community. They are such wonderful volunteers for the Community Foundation, and they are incredibly important ambassadors, not only on the Community Foundation's behalf in the community, but on your behalf, because many of them are learning about you because they're on the committees and because they're on our board. And the more they know about what's going on through your work, the more they can help talk about what the whole nonprofit community is doing in Middlesex County. So this is why your evaluations are really important to us. I get this question a lot. Should it come in a year from the grant? Should it come in 18 months? Does it 6 months? So we don't have a hard stop, because sometimes different programs or services are ongoing. Sometimes sometimes something may take a little bit longer. If you are a previous grantee and you have a grant that you haven't provided an evaluation on, and the grant was awarded 2 years ago, it's time to do your evaluation, unless you've really coming up against a major hiccup, and hopefully you've communicated that with us. And we'll be sending out some reminders because we do track this. But evaluation timing is really based on what you're doing, what your grant was for, and where you are in the process, which is why updates, invitation, and good news should be ongoing, because that at least helps keep us informed, right? Your final evaluation report is due either when a specific program or project is concluded. So if you received a grant for a very specific program or project with a beginning, middle, and end, and it's all done, it's time to report on that grant, right? If it is an ongoing program, then, and this was support to keep it going forward, then you have to determine at what point do you have enough information to share about some outcomes. Maybe it was after it's an ongoing program that you do all the time, but maybe it happens in 6-week increments, or maybe it happens in 3-month increments, or maybe it happens once every 6 months in a 6-month increment. So at that point, you probably have expended all of your grant funding, and you can report on that period of time. For those that do general operating support, I would recommend that you reach either the end of your fiscal year, or say a 6-month or 8-month period, and where you have something to evaluate about your ongoing work and what that happens. Interim evaluations are also available if it's ongoing and you're experiencing some delays. We know that happens. Or we're reaching the point where we're opening the next application cycle. You haven't fully expended the current grant, but you are preparing to possibly submit an application in the next cycle. You do need to, an interim evaluation is required. The evaluation form is always available on our website, and it's under the nonprofits on the forms and guidelines page. It's always out there. It's just like your application with a few minor changes, obviously, because it's from an evaluation point of view, and it's submitted through our website just like your application was submitted. So you're going to hover over nonprofits and you're going to look under resources and you'll see the grant evaluation page. It's like I said, it's a form exactly like what you did when you submitted your application, and your grant will use the box that says general evaluation report. So these are for the general evaluation. We have special evaluations for different types of funds, but this is the general evaluation report. Here's the most important thing that you need to know right now, because I'm looking at making a slight change to the evaluation report, but I'm not going to implement it and probably until later this year. So right now, you need to submit a budget to actual summary form as a PDF, and you upload it into the evaluation report, just like you updated your documents as PDFs to your application. But you do not use the summary form that was attached to your application. You actually need to download the budget to actual summary. The difference on this form is that when you submitted your budget summary form, it was only estimated expenses and estimated revenues. This one is what was estimated and then an actual column. So make sure that you look for the orange button underneath download budget to actual summary form. You need to download that, complete that, save it as a PDF, and upload it with your evaluation form. Just like applications and anything else, if you have any problems with the evaluation form, please let me know, because I may not know that there's a technological glitch going on with the form. You will know if you're working in it. So I always appreciate it when someone has problems with the evaluation form, letting me know, or if you've got a question on if it's not doing something it's supposed to, let me know. Carla, you have a question?
Yes, thanks. And just my chat is disabled. I just wanted to mention that because I know you said that you prefer questions that way, but I wasn't able to do it. And on the evaluation,
That was my fault. I apologize, everyone.
no worries. On the evaluation form, if we already have our budget to actuals completed like in Excel, can we use our own budget to actuals, or do you need us to repopulate it into this spreadsheet?
Great question, particularly in your case, because for those that have general operating, it's going to be your budget to actual.
Right.
What I ask is it's not just expenses, because the budget to actual needs to show the large areas of revenue budget to actual as well as the expenses. And for those that may do it internally, particularly if you use a simpler form, and I don't, Carla, I want to stress, I don't think this is you because I've seen your budget forms. I know you're fine, but I have seen some in the past that literally will say expenses, budgeted, actual. That's not a good budget form. So under expenses, you should at least have your main areas. Do you have salaries? Do you have benefits? Do you have maintenance for your building or rent? Do you have utilities? Do you have marketing? Do you have, you should show at least the main categories, particularly if they're directly related to certain programs or services. But it's a simple one that is 2 lines that says revenues X and expenses Y is not sufficient either for the application process or for the evaluation process. But I want to, on the reverse of that, you do not have to get into the absolute minutia. So for example, we don't need to know how much you budgeted for pencils and how much you actually spent, right? So don't worry about going all the way down to every single tiny thing, but particularly for general operating, it should be your revenue and expense operating budget to actual that you're using to track for your organization in general. And I apologize on the chat. I think I clicked the wrong thing, so fingers crossed. If you do want to use the chat, you should be able to access it. So, okay. Any other question at the moment? All right. So the form is just like your application form. You can save and finish later. Here's what you need to remember. Number one, it's on a temporary server, just like your application was, which means if you don't copy the special link on the temporary server that's assigned to you before you email it to yourself and save it in a somewhere just in case the email never comes through, I can't get to it for you, right? It's just like the application. It's way out in the internet world on a temporary server that I don't have any access to. So if you don't capture that link as you're working on it, in case your email doesn't come through, I can't get to it. The other thing that you need to know is these temporary servers hold your form for 30 days. That's it, just 30 days. So if you don't finish it in 30 days, it won't be there on day 31. It's because it's a temporary site. We don't have any control how long it exists there. So just make sure you know that once you start, don't start it until you're within 30 days of getting ready to submit it, right? So you don't have to start an evaluation until you're really at the point to do that. And also the final thing is when you're assigned this link, for a save and continue later, your link will not change. That actually is the link that is assigned to you for that 30-day period. I spoke to this a little while ago, so I'm going to just let you know this slide is in here. I get the question sometimes, what's the difference if I'm talking about a program evaluation versus, say, a capacity building or general operating? Hint, it's really the same thing in that you're speaking to your actual work, right? So if you received an application or a grant for a specific program or project, you're going to speak directly about the outcomes of that specific program or project, any obstacles you faced, any changes you had to make, what you learned, how many people you helped, or how many sessions you had. For those that have a broader grant, say a capacity building or general operating, it's really sort of the same thing because the grant is supporting your actual work. Maybe it's 2 or 3 programs, but you can speak to the work you're doing in the community to show how that general operating or capacity building grant supported your ability to accomplish what you had hoped to accomplish, right? The other thing to keep in mind is you need to always refer back to your original application because the narratives that you will be drafting to talk about your outcomes should tie back to what you set up as your goals and objectives in your original application. So you should be tying those together because what you presented as the purpose for receiving a grant is now being discussed in the evaluation report that you're preparing. So talk about how you got it. How was your outreach done? Who did you help? How did you reach them? Where was it held? Quantify the number. Where were they from? Quantify the impact. Did you accomplish what you hoped? Did you learn something new that you hadn't expected? Did you run into some hurdles that you hadn't envisioned? That's okay if you did, right? Did you serve the populace that you had originally identified? And did it help move you forward in your mission or maintain your mission or ensure that you were doing the work that you had set out to do? Tell us that story. Tell us what's going on in both quantifiable information and I'm sorry, I can't even speak today. In quantitative as well as qualitative, meaning the actual numbers as well as the narrative descriptions. Okay, questions on evaluations. No? Okay. So here are all our social media channels that we use right now. And if you're on any of them and then you tag us, we will watch those. We do run searches periodically, but sometimes we miss things. So we do ask that if you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or LinkedIn, that you actually tag the Community Foundation. It does help us. Also, you can use the hashtag CFMC_CT. We do a hashtag search periodically, looking for those, because as you know, with as noisy as social media can get, sometimes we do miss things. Periodically, we do run searches to make sure that we're following all of you, because that's our goal, is to follow you on social media as well. But if you haven't seen us or you don't see us in your list of followers, let me know, because sometimes we may not be sure of the right social media link to make sure that we're following the right group. I will say, for those of you that use the closed community groups, kudos to you, because that's a great way to tell your community what to do, what you're doing, right? And how it's helping. I will tell you that right now we are not members of a lot of the closed community groups. Which makes total sense, because they're a little more cautious about connecting, because they want to make sure that it's all about their community. So if you're posting in those closed community groups, you can try sending me the link. I might be able to get to them, or I might be able to ask the administrator to see if they can add us to the followers. But sometimes if you just clip the screenshot and you can send us that as an image, that works well as too, because we know that some of the closed community groups, and what I'm thinking about the town groups, right? So a lot of times, to ensure that they can manage them, the admins say the group for East Hampton or for Portland or for the Tri-Town is actually a closed community group, and you have to make a request to get access to it. So sometimes you can just do a screenshot and send that to us as well. And we're happy to give you a general big rah-rah thank you shout out, and try to tag that group as well so it shows up. Questions? Okay, this is where I'm going to pause and say, for those who have done this workshop with me in the past, I'm going to ask you two questions. One, any tips or tricks that you want to share with anyone who might be new to the Community Foundation? And the second one is, what did I forget? Because I know I probably forgot something. Emily?
So, in this like webinar really kind of got me thinking about how we did things last year, but there's no reason why we can't try new things this year. So, we did the press release last year, but maybe we can incorporate like short form media or reels in addition to that press release. And it's always, I mean, now's the perfect time to try it with all these different platforms, to try kind of something different, as long as all of the copyright and privacy is adhered to as you discussed. I mean, the sky's really the limit. There's just so much that we can do. And I've noticed the algorithm has changed this week, and it's starting to really boost posts that have sound.
Oh, good to
So
know.
if it's somebody speaking, and also we just got a tiny microphone, which are perfect for if you want to get staff, or if you're struggling to get, say, for example, we have very strict confidentiality, so we can't really use the images of our participants, but maybe we can get them to share their story with a tiny microphone. And all you do is plug it into the bottom. It's like a little attachment. You plug it into the bottom of your phone. So that's
So you know
really
what? Send me a link to what that microphone is, and we will
Yeah.
share it out with everybody in case
Yeah.
anybody else wants one. And that's a really good point. So, and thank you, that was perfect. So let me stress, these are all ideas, right? I need to stress to everybody, we are not saying you have to do all of these things. We're just saying, here are some really great ideas, because they're ways that we can reuse it, because our goal is to brag about you. That is what we want to do, is brag about your great work. We are honored to be able to support what you're doing, and we're honored that people support us so that we can support what you're doing. But our goal is to really help raise awareness throughout our 15 towns of all of the remarkable nonprofit organizations that are serving our community, because that's just to the best of all of us, right? So if some of these spurred some ideas or you're not sure how to do something and I've mentioned something, we're still learning too. And we test run different things to see, excuse me, if it works. But if you come up with a great idea and you want me to share it with the group, I'm always happy to do that as well, because we love new ideas. And as to Marcella's point earlier, there are a lot of applications and platforms out there for social media, and as you all know, social media takes a lot of time, right? So we're always evaluating, which is why we're not on every application and platform possible, because it all takes a lot of time and we have to evaluate what we can manage and what we can monitor, as well as what we can use. And there are some that are better than others. But if you come up with ideas, so to Emily's point, some of you do have clients and members that don't necessarily want their faces shown, or maybe like need to be protected in some way or another. And there are really cool ways now where you can get just audio and say, use your logo, right? With a standardized blurb as the visual piece of it. So there are a lot of really good ideas, and I will tell you, I'll try to remember to send out some links, because I know many of you follow Julia Campbell. If you don't, I will send you her name and her platform. She is one of the best social media people for nonprofits, because she has nonprofit experience and she understands that nonprofits have varying sizes. They are everywhere from all volunteer to 1 or 2 staff to lots of staff, and not everything works for everybody. But her website is really useful, and she runs a variety of communities and whatnot where people can ask questions, and she comes up with some really good ideas. So if this is somewhat new to you, or maybe you're a new volunteer and you're trying to find your way, my best two pieces of advice is, I'll send you Julia Campbell's information as well. And we have lots of others that we follow who are really useful, but she's one of the better ones out there. And number 2, don't try to do everything all at once. Don't overwhelm yourself, right? So be careful, go slow. If we can help in any way with answering any questions, we're happy to do that. Joyce, what do the initials mean with the YouTube logo? Okay. Okay. Joyce, when you're on YouTube, you can actually search Community Foundation at Middlesex County, or you could put in at CFDNMC, which is C for community, FDN for foundation, M for Middlesex, and C for county. And when I was trying to find a short form for us, right, I had to contend with other people who'd already stolen all the ones that I wanted because I was late to the party. So
Thank you.
that's what it comes up to. So that's what it
Thank-
stands for.
Thank you. And can I make a comment at the same time?
Sure, go right ahead.
I was just calculating as I was listening to you and how many years I've been working with the foundation in various ways for various organizations. I'm with Cattails, and we are grateful beyond words to the foundation for your support to our community of cats and volunteers. We're all volunteer run. My career of the nonprofit was 50 years before I retired, and another 11 on top of that now that I work with cattails and other volunteers, other nonprofits. The key thing to any of you that are new is the foundation is a competitive grant organization, but it is a collaborative, supportive grant foundation to all of us who accept their grants. And I encourage you, if you have any question, don't be afraid to ask it. You're not going to fail with them. You're going to succeed in learning something new and doing your job a lot better. So my thanks to Thayer and everybody there. I try to make that clear, because I was so scared when I was in the nonprofit to begin with. I'm going to do something wrong, but you can't with the foundation.
Thank you for that,
Thank
Joy.
you.
That means a lot. I really appreciate that. And boy, I can't wait to play that for Cynthia, because she was very sorry she was not able to join us this morning. And that will mean a great deal to her as well. So
Well,
thank you for that. And it's very true, right? There is no failure. And we just appreciate all you do. And we want to help share that out. And we appreciate you sharing information about the Community Foundation, because it just connects all of our community.
But it's so rare to have a grant organization with the top of the grant, with Cynthia and yourself and your top staff that connect with those of us that are receiving your grants. That is so rare. So thank you.
It's
And
our
we are
pleasure.
blessed.
It's our pleasure. I know many of you have to go. We're at the 10:30 mark. It's okay. I'm closing. I'm going to finish up here really quickly. For those that are still here, Lisa provided a really good tip. If you're new to the webinar and you're considering sharing the Zoom recording with your marketing person or team, so they're informed, she encourages you that if you have a special volunteer or person on your team who's doing some marketing PR to share out our video link when I send it to you, because they can watch it too, which is why we record this. Okay, I just see right now. Okay, all right. Any other last questions? Anything I've forgotten? Just as a reminder, if you have questions, if you have ideas or stories, if you have something you think I should incorporate or I should think about as a tip or a trick, please send it to me. I need all the guidance and helpful suggestions I can get. Or if you're unable to locate something on the website, you know you can reach out. So there's my email, there's the phone number, and thank you so much for all your great work. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon.